Hi, everybody. Well, we're doing a special presentation today. We're just going to concentrate in and be a little more serious about the practice that leads to no practice. That's the whole idea. The teacher that leads to no teaching. You see, the idea is that when we do these kinds of practices, it creates this sense of contentment. But that goes against our revved up action nature to do something else, to do something different. So to get the results that you want, you've got to be able to be consistent and do the same contemplations and the same practices again and again and again. Without that, you just don't make progress. That's why the higher you get up in accomplishment, the more it's a funnel and the less people actually stay with it because we're all so distracted. That's the way it is, Okay. We've got a question coming in from Julie, and it is, good morning. What if I have one or two really big sticky messes? Should I just keep writing about one of them every day and doing the practice to honor and face it and feel it until it feels itself out? These steps that are designed in this course are exactly what a human being goes through when they have great accomplishment. So there's 6 steps, and it all grants enhanced naturalness of being, spontaneity, more energy. So the doing is for undoing. And the undoing, being content, just practicing, for example, seems like time wasted because we all have things to do. But actually, nothing could be further from the truth. You've got to recharge your batteries, draw the bow and target before you take action. So Julie, the whole idea is that as you do these steps, you're able to feel more of whatever the issue is, and you're able to get insight and connectivity with outside sources of information and guidance and nourishment from nature, and issues do resolve. The key idea is that you've got a need to improve, need to change, whereas the main voice in New Agey world and commercials is you're perfect the way you are, you don't need to change. That's the transcendental self that you are, the secret place beyond dreams, beyond thought. Yeah, you're wonderful and in union with light in that place. But having the need to change your software and behavior is the catalyst that brings up that negative fuel so that it can reach out to become changed by catalysts of information and people and nature. It's an endless process, an endless proposition. So the more we slow down, the more we experience meditation, the more energy we have to make changes. But we miss the slowing down process. Now it's summer, everybody's animated and out doing things, which is great. But high sustained effective productivity is only maintained by a deep ground of balance and centering. So where does high achievement come from? It comes from your resourcefulness, your centering, and that means personal exposure, because if you sit with yourself, all kinds of stuff is going to come up. If you accept mentoring and instructions, it's even more difficult. So in the first half of our session today, we're going to slow down. We're going to experience being able to connect with sources of wisdom and nourishments in nature. And that takes away from outer doing. Near impossible for a human being to accomplish it. I just keep avoiding certain personal known issues. It's wonderful to hear that. Though I seem to be relatively open as they reveal themselves. When I see and feel and know that my intention affects energy and process of life, it feels odd and uncomfortable. It drums up a dance with resistance. Yeah. Path advancing appears retreating. So how can we affect the kind of refreshment that changes our relationships, upgrades them, our circumstances? Resourcefulness, not resources. So if you stay focused on the external hunt all the time, or managing whoever you are and whatever you're doing, then you don't have any power to make real change. Is it uncomfortable? Absolutely. When I surrender to spirit, sometimes dissociate from conflicts of my daily life. So those are the two worlds. The spiritual world tends to dissociate and don't need physical things and responsibilities. That's why people have a hard time with New Age and religion. And then the other world, just make the money, just get all your ducks in a row. Seems to not be interested in meditation and quiet time, but actually they're joined. Draw the bow, shoot the arrow. You want more effective action in your life, a better biology, a better circumstance, then first gather information. First, ignore the outside circumstance, ignore the biological circumstance, and just feel better. Feeling better animates doing better. It's not the other way around as we've been taught. That's a trap. It leaches the spirit of childhood and creative genius and physical health for the purpose of external creation. But they both can be managed. That's what a full cycle of training is. That's what we're about to do. Slow down, connect to nature, connect to wisdom beyond yourself. Doing that, you're able to find some still points, some observation beyond the rat race of your own mind and body and behavior. Go all the way to forgetting, all the way to deep relaxation. Use different methods, use muscles, use energy, use nature, use wisdom. Bounce around between the two, stretching time between the different factors. As you stretch time, you come to reversing time, which means the dream state and the wake state becomes the place that you exist in all the time. So you're able to access the turbo processing speed of the subconscious in your ordinary life. But this is a matter of consistent dedication and commitment. You'll notice that almost everybody goes into this class for 3 weeks and that thing for 6 months, and they never are consistent with something for their whole life. They don't ever establish what the path is, the Tao. As I've explained, the path is born according to what works for you as an individual. These quotes, these exercises, these places in nature, these methods of engaging activity with dynamism and the ability to feel conflict. If you can codify that and stop wandering about, then you have your path. Once you have your path, you've got the GPS coordinates, you know where you're going. And that is as enlightened as you can get in life. Now, the results for you as an individual and in your personal life improve, yes, but you never get to a stasis. You either progress or you regress. There is no stasis in life. Then I surrender, then I flow, I fly with grace, then crash to recharge. So try to add a little more balance to it. Because if you get slammed and then get elated all the time, which is the basic state of the human being, you're not able to have a superfine balance. The superfine balance, it just keeps on plodding. Keep trudging along, as my mother says. You just continue. Now, what do you continue with in life? What's important? Where are you going? What are you doing? Are you so consumed with what other people think and what you're supposed to do and accomplishing things that you don't even have yourself at all? Most people, this is true. Well, yourself is beyond thought. Who you are as an individual has got to find some type of profound relief regularly so that you can add balance to the extremes. As you do that, when you crash or when you get elated, you still have this balanced observer that's able to refine what's going on all the time. But if you lose yourself with these highs and lows, then the resultant trauma takes time to process through before you can get clear again. So the steady, simple, gentle path, like water eroding a rock, is how you're supposed to do it. And if you need to take furious action, that water can become a tidal wave. But it's all going to be given to you from the internal direction. It's not going to be given because of the thoughts and the actions and what you want to do and who you are and who you're not. And that obsessive mental activity is stopping clarity. Once an individual feels cared about, they can see clearly again, just like landing in the vacation spot and so forth. So your my favorites list has to be codified. You have to say these 3 quotes and these 5 exercises, so forth. I've got 90 pages of my favorites list, things that relate to me personally. And when I open that document and look at all those experiences and memories and quotes and beliefs and people and places and things, it is like tapping into superpower. So your my favorites list needs to continue to be refined and designed and added to and deleted from, and it's got to be a consistent document. And it really can't just be in your brain because you're too scattered, whoever you are. As this feeling of support happens, now you can look at personal issues, and personal issues are as deep as the ocean for everybody. Then I feel overwhelmed, and sometimes laziness, comfort moves back in. Is this just acceptance? Yeah, well, that's the aspect of laziness and comfort that's correct, is acceptance. But if laziness means resting, then that's not a negative thing. If laziness is avoiding doing what needs to be done, what you have to do, then it just creates bad karma. So duty, is kind of the whole summary of everything. Seems like a negative thing, but it's actually wonderful, because when you clean your room, when you do what you need to do, then your conscience is clear. So if your primary duty and what's most important in life is you, if you're the project that is on the plate here, on the table, then that project has all sorts of bells and whistles and duties and things to do and things not to do. And that is the curriculum of your life. So whatever you do externally, that's to relate to yourself internally in your personal life. You see, the project is you. The project is not externally. Because if you improve and become more coherent, then opportunities skyrocket. So always to come back to yourself under proper guidance is the most important thing, because everything you're experiencing is being filtered through your biological biography, through your beliefs. That's all to do with you, who you are. Being so distracted that there's no time to even notice yourself is not proper, even though that's what we're taught. That's not how you age and mature. You've got to mature with life. That's what we're here to do. Your contribution to the human genome is who you are and how you live. And if there's no time to refine and design that, then you're not going to have better results. Sure, you can force results by squeezing energy, but it's better to live a life where you're included in the project as a primary thing. But if you'll notice your beliefs and your subconscious, pretty much everything you do is to please somebody or to get approval, things like this. The way our belief system is influencing our behavior is way more profound than we have any idea. Why? Because we never get calm enough to observe thought. That's why we don't know that. So the calming down process is a back and forth sort of thing that needs support, that needs relief, that needs expert guidance. And as you remove the coverings that hide personal issues, you're going to find stinky stuff. And that's the all important first step to any real transformation program. But it seems opposite because, you want to do something and get something. That's the whole thing of the brain, the whole thing of the cortex. Do something and avoid something. Don't do something and get something. Don't do something and avoid something. So this seems opposite. Well, the path advancing appears retreating. It's a quote from the Tao. Because if in the next hour, for example, we actually slow down and tap into the wellspring of life, then action is animated. You naturally are infused with power and you want to get things done, whether it's in your house, in your relationship, most importantly, relationship. Everything is relationships. No matter what's going on in your life, it's all for the purpose of pleasing somebody. It's all got to do with relationship and emotion. Underneath relationship is emotion. Emotion is far more important than intellect, as science now tells us. So, how are you going to get to the place of revealing your subconscious emotional state? Well, let's do a little exercises. Stars around the sides of the planet, underneath, up through, inner looking, inner listening, inner smelling, cultivate saliva. Swallow down, Soften the chest, adjust the hips. Move energy with your mind. So you should have a field of energy that's moving through your legs, touching the earth, through the earth. Trees, soil, mountains, oceans, animals, birds. Brainstem convergence. Inner listening, inner looking, inner smelling. Cultivate saliva. Swirl your tongue. Swallow down. Soften the chest down and in. Adjust your pelvis and hips. Down through the body. Through the earth. Earth underneath you. Smell of soil. Contemplation of insects. Moving tectonic plates, magma, center ball of the earth. Void. Turn your hands around like this. Of the void, infinite space come through your head, through your body, through the earth. Landing, supergravity, up through the bottom of the earth. Watch the field. Look at different objects in the environment. Look into the nature around your house. Listen into it. Smell into it. Go in psychic space. Wash your relationships. You should notice that you have more spatial orientation now. Your eyes and your ears and your nose and your field of energy is more in contact with the environment. Push the energy. This is reverse breathing. So when you push, the belly actually goes out all the way down here. Reverse breathing in Qigong is one of the top power development exercises. Same thing as when you push a car. Loosen your muscles, drop your shoulders. Inhale, belly goes in. So it's reverse of how a baby breathes or how you breathe in normal life. Inhale, belly, and all this area goes in. Exhale, like pushing a car, you go down in your legs and all this expands. Developing more magnetic amplitude, a thicker and quicker field of energy with more gravity. Watch the field in front of you. Water trickling out of your fingertips. Garden hose of water out of each fingertip. Fingertips are really important. There's a word in German, Fingerspitzengefühl. It means intuition is in the fingertips. You'll find a similar thing in Tai Chi wisdom. The sensitivity of your fingertips has an extraordinary influence on your intelligence. The same way learning new coordination or learning a new thing does. Fire hoses on each of your fingertips, as each of your fingertips. Make sure the fingertips are even and relaxed. As you continue throughout the form, you're co-processing, you're learning to co-process more of nature's nourishing. So you're in contact with the sun and the moon and the stars and the trees and the soil and the gravity and space and birds and bears and dolphins and scary ones like sharks and lions, because your awareness becomes non-local. Non-locality in science means that there's no distance in space. So if you can be really here right now, you're one with the universe. You're one with your relationships. It's all included within your body mind. So as you continue throughout the form, you become more one with nature. In nature, there should be sages and saints. There should be wise people, wise principles. That should be functioning. Things you can return to think about. Now we're going to begin one finger Zen. Open up to the stars underneath the planet. Make the sounds. Making some sound is very important. You ever look at a science called cymatics? It shows sand on top of a plate and you put different sounds and it would make a mountain. It would make swirling things. It would make different designs. So sounds are actually very important. How softly can you open up? Reach the bones to soak the bones. Become aware of nature in your bones. You've got the field of energy now. You can't do anything in life until you're trusted with the field of power of the environment. So you've got to be worthy of that trust. Adjust your hips. Pulling silk. This is like pulling silk. You should have magnetic lines that you're aware of. Of course, every cell in the body outputs magnetism, and so does the whole body. And you concentrate on different areas, you influence the magnetism. So working with chi is nothing other than working with magnetism. You got to actually feel it. It can't be imaginary.
two things we're working on with chi development: magnetic frequencies. So there's disturbed magnetic frequencies in different areas of your body mind, and also magnetic amplitude that provides that feeling of like two magnets. The idea is more pressure, like the spring is stronger. Over time, you have more magnetic pressure, but you've got to have more relaxation to deal with more pressure. The decreased resistance in a wire creates more electricity and magnetism to flow through that wire. So soften your fingers, soften your body, relax. More relaxation all the time by choice. This is going to give you that power to take action. Left side. Now, when you do the bow, you're opening up to the stars underneath and around, and then you're imagining a galaxy coming into the center of your brain, producing a sweet saliva. And then that galaxy goes down into your throat, and that galaxy goes into your heart, then down to the rest of your body. Over the years, you're creating greater frequency healing, coherence of energy, and magnitude, amplitude. So you're not just doing movements, you're seeking to improve how you open and close a cabinet, how you do these particular movements. Doing the forms is fun because it's like a dance, just fun. The real practice is in how you move in daily life. Are you connected to what's above you and around you? Do you have spatial awareness? Working with magnetism, are you aware of the magnetic fields in the environment? Bhagavad Gita, two hands hold up the heavens. This is called the 8 pieces of silk. The idea of pulling silk is the way of moving energy. And that's why a lot of Qigong forms include the word silk, or the instruction of moving silk, pulling silk. Because that's what it feels like once you're able to work with magnetic lines. Draw the bow, shoot the arrow. Compress your belly, compress your muscles, develop a hard body, a strong body, just by doing a little dynamic tension now and then. You'll notice that we're touching on a lot of things: intellect, emotion, energy, nature. This is the surefire way to advance meditation, but you've got to be convinced of that and devote yourself to your My Favorites list that includes these different sections of life. It creates a full spectrum approach to moments that ripple. Everything in the class is about causing moments that shift our reality for the better, because one moment can change everything. Same principles you got to go over, the same science you got to go over: brainwave coherence, heart rate variability. When you turn to pick up something, when you turn your body, you want to have a stable base. So your back foot, we're going to turn that way now. Your back foot is going to turn on 45. So if you're going to pick up an object and it's over to this way, then you're going to create support with a 45-degree angle in your back foot, and you're going to swing your other foot out this way. Now you have a stable base. So anytime you move, you should move with your feet stable. A lot of people have ankle injuries and knee injuries, and it's all because of moving their body without coordinating their feet. Move your feet first when you turn. And you'll notice that when you have anxiety, when difficult things are going on, that you're always going to want to move your head first and your chest first. Move your head, chest, and body all at the same time. So all of life can be a practice of proper stance. When you pick up an object, squat down. So we're going from this position to this position. That's the way to properly move a heavy object from different locations. You got to position your feet first. Now we're just doing draw the bow and shoot the arrow the other way here. Separate heaven and earth. You'll see this position all the time. Lots of different exercises. This is the idea of yang, which is up here, sky, positive ions, yin or yin, negative ions. You got to be aware of the polarity of life to be able to make harmony with it. So we're separating yin and yang, heaven and earth, sky and earth, for the degree of getting perspective. Wise owl gazes backwards. Turning the head to see what's in back of you is something that decreases for most people with age. You've got to be able to turn your body around there. Look what's in back of you. And all the while you're doing this with a subtlety in your body, so it's like moving silk. You're moving energy. That moves the neurology of the body, that moves the muscles. Of course, the human body is run by electromagnetism. That's what's keeping us alive. Sodium chloride and other chemicals go along the heart membrane, and that creates the spark of life. That's what creates our heartbeat. So that's all produced from energy. Slow it down now. Of course, the more advanced the Qigong or Taiji, the slower it goes. That allows you to go faster, but we don't need to talk about going faster. That happens automatically. You'll naturally be the fastest, but you've got to find out how to be slow and centered first. Put your elbows out like this as you squat down a little bit. Sway the head and shake the tail. So your butt should move one way and your head should move the other. And stick your butt out. Two hands grab your ankles or feet and then stretch up so that you're stretching your middle back, your kidneys. Clench the fists and glare fiercely. So you're externalizing your energy outwardly, forcing. And then bounce on your toes. Heels off the ground. Your training time is a great time for you to escape your problems. So your My Favorites list can create for you a training for mind, body, and soul that results in moments that ripple. It's all about having moments that shift everything. That happens in advanced meditation. Okay, but you got to codify it. You have to write it down. I'm going to do this routine for 60 minutes, whatever routine you want. Include as many elements as you can, and all the while having the intention to go deep in meditation. Then you'll find energy coming back to you, and you'll be able to take new action with improved insight. Original temple style Tai Chi. I'm going to turn around so that you can see it more. So you can see the feet movement too. Not bad. This is called Wu Ji. Wu Ji is the void from which all creation comes. In Zen, the main scriptures, the Heart Sutra, it's all about nothing. Why? Because the increased sense of spaciousness and timelessness gives you improved power and insight and processing speed. So we're just trying to calm down and find moments that ripple. Now, in Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, God speaks from the void, let there be light. So space encompasses the universe. When you're spacious, you have insight. Wu Ji in Taoism is spaciousness, Buddhism, Shunyata, Yoga, Vayu, and all it's the source of life. So this is what you're feeling when you're doing this posture of Wu Ji. And breathing patterns should be becoming longer and longer throughout your routine. All the way through the right foot. Step out with the left, put the left foot down straight. Turn in on the right heel. So now both your feet are straight. Palms facing directly in back, elbows bowed out, eggs underneath the armpits. Breathe down here first, not up here. Lower, middle, upper. The lungs are large down here, small up here. So if you just breathe your chest up here, then you're inhaling and exhaling with the smallest portions of your lungs. You want to accentuate proper breathing by breathing deep into the largest parts of your lungs, especially in practice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the weight's on the right foot. Stand on your right foot a while, just your right foot. Shoulders dropped. Energy between your hands, connected to sky and earth. 6. Step out in the same direction which we started with your right foot. 7. Right hand comes up, expressing energy from underneath the earth through the back of the wrist. Out into environment, spiral of energy. This is like a magnet, like a train track and magnet down here with the earth, creating grounding. This is animating. This is grounding. This is yang. This is yin. "45 degrees. Inhale all the way through the right foot. Exhale, step out with the left foot, putting it down straight, turning in on the right heel. Palms in back, eggs under the armpits, elbows bowed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 45 degrees. Right foot, inhale. Left foot, exhale. Turn in on the right heel. Adjust your standing posture. Head, arms, underarms, pelvis, connection to sky and earth. And then include breathing 3 times, just a little bit here, slowly, and filling up the body like it was a balloon. Especially your fingers and toes, all filling into the belly button area. Then begin. 1, 2, 3. Oop, I don't know what I did there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Start with your feet just straight. This is the Taiji pose. This is when your yin and yang is separated. The right side of your body is yang. The left side of your body is yin. The sky is yang. It's positive ions. Earth is yin, negative ions. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Condensing the energy. 6. Separating yin and yang again. 7. Spiral of energy going out in front of you. Spiral of energy going down into the earth. There's more movements that you can learn, but basically what you've learned so far to do with some of these things, the Badwa Jin, and we didn't do any dynamic tension today, or the animal exercises, but different options. You can bounce around and be creative with it, but come up with a routine that works for you as an individual, a routine that allows you to do something in a time structured way. Maybe you want to make it 10 minutes or 15 minutes, something that is doable and repeatable. And then you have to be willing to practice and practice, always seeking to make improvements. How much energy do you have? How much relaxation? How much connection to nature? Do you know the inside of a tree? Do you feel the bear fur? Over time, your mind becomes like a quantum computer that processes a lot of things at the same time in terms of feeling them, feeling nourishments in your body. Remember, if I have flowers behind my back, you don't see them, it's no good. But if I give them to you and you smell them, you get nourishment that changes your biochemistry. So that's the same way with Qigong and Tai Chi, that the elements of nature are here and available, but we're lost in objective thought too much, so we're not connected. Well, connectivity is power. So the way that you move, the way that you stand, the way that you breathe, the way your spatial orientation is in daily life is the core teachings of Qigong, so that you become more spacious. If you're more spacious over any subject, you're able to accomplish that subject better. Get that understanding, insight, power, leverage, technique, skill, strategy. That all comes out of the internal direction. It all allows you to have some leverage for who you are and how you live. The main challenge that I've mentioned many times is that we don't establish a my favorites list that makes us feel profoundly relaxed and supported and energized. So we don't really have then a path. We just flail about. And that's what most people's fate is, because it's very boring. But only if you do that are you going to feel supported enough so that you can have personal issues, so that you can have things that you need to work on. You can feel them, you can work with them. So that begins your entrance into meditation. Once you've done enough supportive thing, you had a glass of orange juice or a cup of coffee or a walk, you did something with your muscles, you did something with nature, you did something with wisdom, so forth. Over the years, you can have more of a full spectrum approach. And
that allows you to have a platform and a springboard to moments that change everything. You only need one moment to change everything, right? People's destinies are transformed in moments of experience. Why not choose moments of experience independent of circumstance? If you can just go beyond your own mind, go beyond your own circumstances, and choose to feel better, choose to be invigorated, choose to get insight and perspective and guidance, then you're locked into the path of human evolution. So the art of boring is necessary here. Anybody that's accomplished any significant task in their life realizes what the art of boring means. But it's much more difficult when you're facing yourself. So if you take this time, like we're having today, to be able to make sure that you reach the inner kingdom, the inner world, then your possibilities for self-reinvention, self-actualization, healing relationships, healing circumstances skyrockets. And there's no other method than the My Favorites list and the Stuck Spot map. The Stuck Spot map, you draw a scribbles map and you become very aware of what's going on inside your biology. So I want you to do that mentally right now. Find out inside of your mind and body where it is that you have personal issues and start to breathe deep into it. Denial is more than a river in Egypt. Human mind is basically stuck on denial. That's why you got to feel supported. And don't fool yourself. The way is in training. If you separate from this training, which is modeled after how it actually happens, your My Favorites list, your stuck spots, whatever works for you, mind, body, and soul, something to do with muscles, something to do with energy, something to do with nature, so forth. If you separate from that, then you don't have a path. You can't see the light at the end of the tunnel unless you have the GPS and the GPS is telling you where to go. And where you need to go is the My Favorites list and the Stuck Spot list. Now there's 6 steps, and these 6 steps are modeled after how human evolution, human change, and healing happens naturally. It's not my ideas, it's how it happens. These 6 steps all augment your experience of naturalness, being energized, being spontaneous, the rejuvenation of your intelligence, the repair of burnt brain circuits, so forth. First step is overcoming denial and removing the covering. So draw a map in your body when you feel about things you're concerned about and see where it is in your body and your mind that these things are influencing. Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your guts? Do you feel it wherever? And breathe into it. 5 deep breaths more. Now, this is different than deep breathing exercise. Deep breathing exercises that are forced stress the system. If you have emotional catharsis, if you have breathing into a pain, if you remember an unresolved issue or something you're sorry about or sad about, you're going to breathe into it. That kind of deep breathing enters into the neurology. The other kind of deep breathing is just the bone surface and the muscles. It's just the external world. To really have an internal world, you have to have intimacy. That means trust. Who are you going to trust? How are you going to have intimacy? I think it's basically impossible mostly for many people. They just give up on that part. But actually, your vulnerability is your invincibility. And it's the only way that you can self-reinvent. And self-reinvention is the only survival of any species. No stasis, either progress or regress. So this first step allows you to open up where it is in your body mind that needs some TLC. Okay. Now you've got to go over everything I'm talking about 1,000 times, 1,000 years. because fundamentally you're not capable to remove the covering to your personal issues. Neither am I. Nobody can. That's why we live in an objectified, frenetic rat race world, because there is no contentment with what is. Now, if you're present and aware to your human mind and body, you're going to see not only your issues, but other people's issues. And after a while, there's going to be no separation. Bell's theorem, non-locality, superentanglement, they all speak to the reality of science, saying there's no separation and distance in space. So if you have an atom and the paired electron of the atom, you physically move, which I asked a world-renowned physicist, this can be done. He said, absolutely. You physically move one to London, the other one to New York, and they have a spin on the electron. One's up, one down. If you change the spin to up on this one, the other one moves instantly. It's a communication between the electrons that's not light speed, that's not magnetism. It means that they're joined, even though they're apparently distant physically in this perception that we're able to see, but in a deeper reality, there's no distance. So once you really remove your own covering, once you become empathic in a reasonable way, you feel the suffering of the world, of other people. So now, you have to contribute to the upgrading of the legacy of the human genome by being 100% responsible for yourself. That means you're responsible for others as well, because you're experiencing them within yourself. All right, so the bubbles burst in the step one and you're grounded. Your mind touches the earth. Now you can go on to step two. Step two is accessing the subconscious. It's slowing down. So I want you to make the next 10 breaths super slow. Heavier on the exhale, longer breath, each breath. Conscious sleeping. Have a little more happiness, a little more contentment, a little more satiation in your body. So now you're forgetting about problems. You don't need to have your bubble burst. It was burst in step one. Now you're letting in help. You're letting in the introduction of an outside source of help, a bird, a friend, a tree, a source of wisdom, a belief system, but you're preparing to receive through slowing down your system so you can access subconscious processing power. Mindfulness meditation is taught in hospitals and therapists' offices around the whole world. It's the new rave. Actually, it comes from the Buddha's meditation technique called Anapanasati. There's sphenoid bones in the nose, and there's magnetite-bearing tissue at the root of the nose. It senses informational magnetism, the same way a bird does or an animal does. There's all kinds of frequencies of magnetic information that we're not aware of, but we have the material to be aware of it in our bodies, just like other animals do, and birds and mammals. When your mind is calm, you'll start to sense this informational magnetism. Sensing the airflow through the nostrils is present to what's going on right now. So if you're not aware of that, then you're just not aware of what's here. You're lost in thought. So as a way to bring you back, sense the airflow through the nostrils. You should absorb magnetism into your body. You should feel it. Where does it go? Into your wounds. That's the entrance point, Rumi says, to the light of God, is your wounds, your incompetencies, your sadnesses. So that step one is still functioning in that it's provided a fertile soil for the seeds of fresh energy and fresh insight to come in. Slowing down more and more and more and more and more. Okay, video's off. Oh, my video's on. Danielle's here now. It's all right. Video's on, honey. You made it. You made it. You made it. You made it. How's the game?
It was good. It was tough. They lost. It was a
Okay.
big loss. They had a really, they have one more game. It's like a good season. They didn't win. I think they lost one other one. So,
Jackson was in a soccer game today, honey.
yeah.
Soccer, which is football.
So, kid, football. Yeah.
Football.
Football. Is this our class today?
Huh? Well, nobody's here except us, but that's not nobody.
Oh my God. Well, I didn't say nobody's here. I just said this is our class. Wow.
Oh, you mean it that way?
Treat.
Saturday.
Not that I don't like everybody else, but I'm like,
Well, this is better, yeah. I don't mind.
yeah.
That's the thing, the endless repetition. Well, you got questions?
I was thinking about that on the way home. I was thinking, what do I have questions on? How can I be a better student? Like, how could I be more calm? How can I go slower? Those are all my questions all day long. Let me think. Do I have any questions?
You revived from the other day, huh?
A little bit, yeah. I still have to catch myself because there's so much nonsense happening, with the schools. I feel like I can easily get wrapped up in that. And then you know, and then Jackson gets stressed out about it, and I realize, like, I am so sorry. I don't need to talk about this in front of you. This is mommy's fault. It's not anything you have to battle. It's my battle. Don't worry. So that really, I caught myself pretty quick in that one. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what I have to do around that, this outside stuff that's happening. That feels like control, being controlled, and fear, and I
Think
don't
it's
know
set up kind of thing?
what.
The big setup?
Yeah, and what's next for us, and I should probably just do the research, pre-process next year as if it's already happening, because yeah.
Well, but next year there'll be no problem though. It's all going to be normal, isn't it?
Well, no, I think keeping the kids in the masks so that they can mandate the shot at a young age, and there's just too much craziness. I'm not ready for that.
Jackson!
He does not want to come on today.
Tell him, I can tell him.
He doesn't want to come on. I tried.
So you missed the routine and all.
So
Full, concise routine today, and I shut up. I was more relaxed. It was great, wasn't it, honey? Much more mature, William. I was just like, okay, you don't want to come to my class? I'm going to do it. You can do something else.
good
How
for
many-
you.
So many people. Alejandra ducked out, never coming again.
Yeah. I asked Andrea about that. I was like, what happened to Alex and Nicole?
I told her you don't have to pay. She said, oh, actually, it's not really a pay problem. It's time. I was like, okay. Well, I understand what you're talking about. It is time, but my statement that I believed I will be proved correct is that you can't avoid me if you had to, because I'm just, I don't know. I hate to say it. It just sounds terrible, but I think I'm the real thing, but don't tell anybody. It's all I'm saying is that I represent slowing down, stopping, and reversing the search. And if you think you can avoid that, you're wrong. I also represent the real school of hard knocks stuff, And, Alejandra said she's learning from this lady. She thinks she's a real ninja. And, it just rubs me the wrong way, because 99% of anybody that talks about that or present themselves as some kind of a tough person is absolutely false and not real. And so they all go to the Aikido and to the real, this thing and that thing. And so I think on both frontiers, my guess would be, normally speaking, that unfortunately for you guys and gals, I represent the real thing. And so I wish there was another way. And I think a lot of the reason I say it is not about me as an individual, but about the structure. You've got to find a way to slow down. If you want to speed up and take action with school or with whatever, and you want to be precise and you want to be better, then that's all the more idea of what is authentic meditation instruction. And if somebody else has got it and they can explain it to me, I'm very happy to be a student, because I need this. I need to meditate. I need self-reinvention and healing psychologically, physically, behaviorally. And it just seems like that it's my personal experience that when people join with me in whatever capacity they're willing to do it, that they get something that lasts forever. And when they say that, I got it and I don't need this, I've never seen anybody yet demonstrate that they know what they're doing and that they've got it when they do that. If they say my favorites, Stuck Spot Map, Masters, Personal Surrender, Behavioral Change, Advanced Meditation, which means super slow down. Yeah, anyway. So I don't think there's anything wrong with me being angry in some sense and with saying, no, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe the lady's a new ninja, and I don't believe that advanced meditation is going to be taught to Alejandra in a better way than for me. I don't believe that. I know that's kind of weird. It might be arrogant sounding or something, but that's my opinion. So, all right, whatever. I get it. As far as the integrity of the other individual, being as good as me or having the ability to do what I do, whatever, I get that. I surrender to that. But the only thing I'd like to assert to her would be, you really have the structure of those 6 kind of steps, because those 6 steps are part of any real program. So you have that somewhere. And my understanding is that unless it's like a full-blown supermaster kind of person, you have personal contact, then there's no way you get that. It's always stroking the ego and dissociation. That seems to be what's present out there, unless it's supermaster land. Then, okay, I'm out. I get that. I will bow out.
Do you feel compared to somebody else? Like she moved on to other teacher that was kind of like you, but better? Is that what?
Well, I don't feel compared to as a personal ego affront to me, because
more of a technique.
No, I feel compared to in terms of, that's what everybody does. Just like the whole world searches for an easier way and an external solution for a personal problem. And in my experience, I've never seen that kind of series of events take place and it be authentic. That's my understanding. Unless you say to me, I get bubble bursting and then I need to, unless you like go with the science of it and, you bond with me in that. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to do it this way though. And then you have real masters, real connections to real masters. But when somebody starts talking about somebody being a secret ninja and they start talking about, this and that, it just reeks of,
I see what you're saying, yeah.
The whole thing that is the problem. And it's my problem too. And the sorrow of, oh, why don't you just keep trying, You should keep trying. It's an ego thing. It's about authority. It's that nobody can give authority to somebody else, is what happens. That's why I give you the out with my favorites, listen to science. But if you don't accept my favorites list in the science, and you don't accept authority, which is what 99% of every martial artist and every meditation teacher and every person does, then you're not going to make it where I want you to make it, where I believe I'm headed, which is consistent, progressive personal healing.
I get that in my business too. I get people having one session and then things get uncomfortable and their body processes. And I feel like that's what happens with you too, is like people get to an uncomfortable place that they don't know how to get out of. And then they feel like, I'm going to keep suffering. I got to get out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about with Janice actually. She's like, I'm making my way back around to, I think I want to see William again. And I'm like, yeah, well, he told us that we were going to nitpick him. It's kind of normal. Like that's.
I invite her every week. I invite her for everything for.
She knows. And she told me that. Yeah, yeah. Which is great. I think that's great. It's just keeping the door open. But you know what? I think also, I don't know if this is, it feels a little different than what you do. Like when, I don't know, do I give up too easy? Because like when my clients come in, they get uncomfortable and they leave. I'm like, all right, see ya. Like I can't take it personally anymore because it's so much, not personally, but I'm not saying like, I kind of give it up to whatever their path is. So I'm like, if they can't deal with any discomfort, they're going to find it in some other way and maybe loop back around or maybe not, but that's not they're obviously not for me. And I feel like when I release that, like any kind of,
Right.
it's like, I get a flood of better clients that are really in it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I feel some of that.
Yeah. Let them go. Bye. Next. That's what I feel like sometimes.
As you might have learned by now, it's an endless series of tests.
I know.
As I'm saying something to test you, and I'm seeing whether you want it or not. And if you really don't want it, boy, are you going. Because I really have no time. I can barely have my head above water as it is. Yeah. So, you get trapped if you don't. It's life. If you don't comply with, I need to have bubble bursting, sucking is sucking. I need to be taught and instructed with authority. I need to go beyond it all and forget everything. Step 1, 2, 3.
So I get that. I totally get it from you. But like when it comes to the outside world and the government, I am not getting that. I feel like here's my lesson. Where do I figure out, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so frustrating. Like because I trust you. I trust your process. I agree. And I've found.
That's the beauty of compliance. The road rules are there for a good reason. Let's obey them. Yeah. But you're saying with the government for you, it's not so clear.
It feels manipulative. I don't feel like I can trust it. It's a lot of New York stuff. It's just like a New York alone. But, should I be suffering more and comply? Should I agree? I can't. Like, there's so much in me that is going against it.
Punk rocker in high school?
No. I was artsy fartsy, very quiet.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's my honey bunny.
Yeah. I used to be a painter.
Can't tell you what to do unless I'm given permission, right? Or the same way, vice versa. You can't tell me what to do unless I give you permission. That's the difficult part about this word compliance. That's why Atmic compliance is the way to go. And from that,
Can you remind me what that is again?
Atmic compliance means there's one electricity in this building. Electricity goes for the light. See, I got the light. And the electricity goes for the computer, electricity goes for the speakers, so forth. So the electricity can go into the computer and the computer can do all sorts of things. The electricity in the building can go to any of these machineries. But what the electricity does then is a matter of configuration of the electricity. So the human mind, the physical universe is run on electromagnetism. So that electromagnetism comes through all kinds of personalities, devils wearing masks, gods wearing masks. It's a matrix. And if you can identify with the one source that's animating all the life, then you have wisdom. Then you can see through personalities and behaviors, and you can understand everybody's doing something for a reason.
Mhm.
Nobody's doing anything to not make themselves happy, no matter what they do. Doesn't matter what their action is. They're doing it to find relief, to find control, to find nourishment. So if you can drop the subject object awareness to do with whether it's the electricity running the computer or the light or the speakers, and start to think about the electricity, then your mind opens. You can see how the electricity is running speakers, how the electricity is running the heater, so forth. Now you have more options and you're able to give more grace. That does not mean that there's not a right and wrong. There's certainly a right and wrong. That means there's a yes and no. That means there's a fighting and surrender. But you can't fight properly unless you have this atmic compliance, which means that you're surrendered to everyone and everything is saying something of value to me. And they are valuable. Doesn't matter whether they're Satan or an organization or whomever. It's all a big trick. It's all a big, one white light in the movie screen, same idea. And on the screen, there's all sorts of villains and heroes. But it's all coming from one white light, and they're all actors on the screen in the movie. And then they say cut, and they go back to be themselves. So when you can see the white light, you begin to become a little mystical. You can script your role better. So if you want to say no or you want to say yes, that's fine, but that's not the conversation. Just like the conversation is not about product, the result, because you can't get involved in the process when you're attached to the result.
Mhm.
So to become totally involved in the process of accepting the soccer game is where the wisdom is. Then you can say yes or no with better intelligence. So you shouldn't be interested so much about the right or wrong on the surface, because it's all coming from the one white light. If there's in fact a behind the scenes environment, observational understanding of life, once this takes place, magic returns. And now the air is clear, and now Jackson's clear, and everything gets healed. But the thing is, you got to release the outer and experience the inner. Release whether the electricity or the decisions of the government or the rules that are upon you, what do they mean? That's why I'm trying to stay out of the process. That's why I believe in myself and my teaching so much, because I'm always talking about, you've got the my favorites list, you've got the stuck spot map, and you got the science. And if you don't comply with that, I know that I'm your leader. I know that whatever you're doing, that I'm right and you're mistaken, because you can't escape it. So you may as well let me lead. So it's the same way now. You apply this conversation to some set of rules that a government is putting on you. I can't decide for you, and ultimately I don't know right or wrong with that. I have my own opinions.
Mhm.
I don't ultimately understand. I'm no guru and I'm no sage. But for you as an individual, my suggestion would be that you calm the emotion, because it's really just a game you're playing to create pain, because you can't come out of your mind and your senses.
That feels true. Feels true.
So we watch a horror movie because we can't feel. So watch a horror movie, we're going to feel.
Oh,
So
that's interesting, because I used to watch them a lot and now I don't want to watch them anymore because I feel a lot more now.
so look at the change between last year and this year. Different person.
Mhm.
Now, what you want to continue that, to continue that, you've got to give up your perceptions and connect with the tree. So I'm always saying you're my favorites list, your scribbles map, and science. So science says hormonal change, brainwave change, heart rate variability change. Science says all kinds of things. If and when we don't comply with something that is hard set rules, something that is material reality, like heart rate variability, brainwave coherence, hormonal nectar. Did you listen enough? Did you get too angry? If we don't comply with the daily grind that's on us to evolve, then we get it the hard way. So you have the opportunity to forget about that for a second, give it up, don't worry about it. That's the instruction, that's the gift, and just be still. Because if you can be still, you're going to be the fastest thinker, the best fighter, and everything else. You're going to be the best, or you'll be improved. We don't want to say the best.
Mhm.
So you've got to you've got to somehow endure the craving, endure the temptation to engage at whatever, anything, anyone, anywhere, and find your way back to Atmic compliance, which means, oh my God, everybody's teaching me. Alejandra's teaching me because I wasn't gentle enough with her and I didn't listen enough. And now she's off with a person who's like a real ninja. Oh my God, I'd love to see that martial arts experience of that person. And I don't know if that person said that or whatever, but almost 100% of the people that talk that way are so fake it's nuts. So what did I learn? Oh, as usual, same stuff. Listen well enough. I love her. Oh my God, I hope she doesn't get in trouble. I hope she realizes meditation is not dissociation. Hope she's better than me and she's on a better track. That's pretty darn fine with me. Then she could come back and heal me. You know, it's all good. But in the meantime, I've got to release all of this stuff and sit still so that I can gain some perspective about how to run my neurology better.
So maybe I should explore more of that. Like when I lose a client, that I should really sit with that more.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. You should be 100% at fault. Remember the criticism thing? The Tim Grover, the world's greatest coach, to Michael Jordan, everybody. And by the way, yes, same principles, same practices, endlessly. That's the master, how they do it. Endlessly, same quotes, same ideas, endlessly. So he was asked, as you heard many times, what makes a champion a champion? Because this guy is the coach for all the best champions in history. And he says the main common thread is that they all crave criticism. So that's step one. You should always take 100% responsibility. Dr. Hugh Len, they had to close the mental hospital, everybody got healed. And he said, I don't need to see their files. I just need to say to myself, why am I experiencing this? So the other person's behaving this way or that way. Why am I experiencing this? Not why did Jackson go to the game and why did they lose the game, or why did the government say this and what is COVID all about? And no. Why am I experiencing this? That gets you back to the one electricity, to the mystery of life. And then your possibilities skyrocket, whether you want to rebel and fight or whether you want to comply. Either one, you have more skill then, because you have more space for the projection of, you got to wear a mask, you got to get a shot. And if you can just be like, what's that all about for a second? If you have time. If you have no time, then you have to respond immediately. But in this next 10 seconds, you have time. So you can just, what is it? What is it? And if it feels uncomfortable, sit with it. And if you have to get up at 3 a.m, that's fine too. But you got to stay before form and personalities if you want to have a coherent life as best as possible. Meaning that you have to pre-process things before they come. You have to see the subtle indicators of events and take 100% responsibility for yourself and try to change whatever you need to change in yourself.
now that you mentioned that, when I relate that to my business, I think I am doing that. I'm looking at why they have reactions that they do and why they, some people do feel better right away and some people don't. And yeah, I think I am doing that, exploring what I could have done better, which might be why I've had a nice flow right now. It's okay to release it. Whereas before I would get defensive, worried, and then say, it's not my problem. But I
Hmm.
would hold on more to the worry that I did something wrong or, and I think I am able to release it now because I do explore what I could have done better.
That's step one. Doing something wrong is only the initial uh, negative fuel being released. And then now you go into step two. Well, I did the best I could, whatever. And you can now have insight. Yeah. The hardest part is when you come back from step three, which means you forget everyone, everywhere, everything, and you are rejuvenated. Your power comes back to yourself from the game and the loss.
Yeah.
Now you got to be a different person.
Mhm.
You have to listen different and speak different and behave different. You have to totally become a different person all the time in life. That's the coup de grace. That's the success position. That requires conflict dynamism.
I have to tell you, my relationship with my sister has gotten so amazingly good.
Yeah.
Is just she she admitted it the other day. She's like, I'm really enjoying what we have. And it's like, and I told her, I said, it's because of my meditation practice. I've dropped my falls. And she's like, I know you say it's because of that, but I don't know what it is really. And I'm like, it's okay.
Body and everything will try to take this away from you. I want you to be sure of that. Every single personality has one purpose: to stop you from becoming the master. So you have to, be a little humble and be a little gracious, depending on who the person is and the rest of it. But personalities and forms only want the attention to go to themselves. So whether it's family, whatever it is, close relationships, you'll find as you mature that they do not have this singular focus.
No.
That people's singular focus is clearly external predation. So if you're in love or if you're a friend, then you can work with whoever, whatever, but don't get it mixed up. Don't get it mixed up.
Did I get it mixed up?
No, I mean, don't get it mixed up that the personalities and forms, our personalities and our forms are animals.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we're doing is going forward and trying to get cheese. That's it. So you want to cushion that and you want to have grace for another person because they're the same as you. That's fine. But don't get it messed up. Don't get it mixed up what's going on around here. You and me and her and him, we are lost in addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why if you have principles and you accept principles, you say, oh, this enlightenment stuff, it's actually really cool. Or, oh, Qigong, wow, that's neat. And there's even solid science around it. And, so forth and so on. There's various things you can use to have as references to give you reasons to believe in the path of life. Now, the path of life is my favorite list in your stuck spot, man. And until you have that going in such a way that transcends me, then I'm have to continue to be the teacher. And unless you do it like I do it, which is day and night and in my sleep and constantly, then you're not going to do that. So that doesn't have to be me. I'm not trying to bring attention to myself. I'm always trying to bring attention to a real teacher, which is not me. Once again, a guru or a really wise person, Until that becomes the only thing, your only hope in life, then I know you don't understand. So that is my only hope. And that's probably because I was so broken in life. So I'm lucky. So I realized somehow that well, that's kind of it. There's no other option. You either comply or die. So which one you want to do? But what does that mean, and in what aspect? All I'm saying is comply to wisdom and science in terms of brainwave coherence, heart rate variability. Submit to the heart rate variability app. Be compliant. Be a slave. Be lesser than to the principles, to your stuck spot map and the principles. Now, it doesn't matter if you're more mature than me or I'm more mature in general life or whatever. What matters is the map. Do you have your map in life? Do you have a map to health and success and wealth and whatever you want? I think it probably, as best as I understand, all comes from resourcefulness, not resources. Now, maybe you can do it better than I can do, obviously, but still, I'm stuck on the map. And I know that that is sort of the most valuable thing a human being could have. So I want you to have that. I want you to have your My Favorites list codified, classic and creative. There's classic elements, the childhood memory, the teachings of Qigong, whatever, classic things. And then there's creative. Like Lena and I watched the Dalai Lama this morning. You got to put something new on now and then. You got to try something new and different because our attention span is that of a mosquito. So you have to interrupt yourself and find something new. You're not going to be content with this thing or that thing. Look, nobody's in the class. You're not going to be content with anything too long. It's going to get boring and you're going to think, oh, I'm going to do something else. So you have classic and creative. Classic and creative. Lena and I were thinking about if I should be a professional dancer. What? Honey,
Go ahead, Lena. We can advertise it.
It starts for real.
Here's the new additional income that's coming in.
Yeah. See, honey, look, you did it. Now it's going to be real. Qigong and lap dance, $25.
Very bad.
Poor Lena. It's quite a combo.
Honey Pie, tell her about the flowers. Tell her about the flowers.
Wow.
Go out.
We have been working in the garden, and for sure it teaches a lot of patience. Each plant is unique. When you think, oh, it's all about earth and water, then you realize every plant is telling you something, and it's quite work to figure it out when a plant is telling you I need more water or you are overwatering. And we had the visit of someone I call the plant whisperer,
Oh,
a lady who, oh my gosh, knows so much and
Those look
so
beautiful.
much wisdom. Yeah, about each plant.
Yes, is different, right? Look at that. Beautiful.
Some poppies, marigolds, petunias.
what are these, honey?
These are the poppies.
Mm-hmm.
How about this one?
These are petunias. They are pink. For the light, they look white, but they
Yeah.
are.
Oh,
I love poppies. They like their petals are like paper almost, like they're just so delicate.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and it's amazing because each plant gives flowers of different colors.
Uh-huh.
Some are red, orange, so it's amazing. I
Yeah.
love them too.
Are any of them going to come back next year? Are these all that you plant? Do they come back for you? Or do you have to plant them every year?
They say that there is a good chance that they come back by themselves, but
Those are
let's
pretty
see.
rose.
It's tough here, difficult.
Yeah, if it gets too cold.
Mhm. But I hope because they look so beautiful.
I do. Oh, nice.
We planted a lot of flowers last year that people told us that they were perennials, that they would
Uh-huh.
come back every year. And only one is coming back. We planned like
Oh, really?
those since, yeah, just one. So let's
Which
see
one
what,
came back?
huh?
Which one came back? What kind?
I have no idea.
I don't know the name of that
Oh, this one,
flower actually. It's
that one right there. It's not a flower now. It looks like corn.
uh-huh, that's
Mhm.
true. It looks like corn, but I
Oh,
don't,
maybe like an iris or a no,
oh, maybe.
iris.
Irises? I don't know.
Maybe. They're like a bulb. They should come back, yeah.
Oh, well, that's the only one.
Well, they look great. What a treat. You guys want to come to New York and hang out here for a weekend?
Oh,
I have a place for you to stay.
Do my marketing and make $1 million. Danielle, you could make a ton of money in 2 weeks. I swear. I'm sure of it because I did it. I made like 100, like I said many times, I don't know, 170,000 or something a year. And the only thing I did is show up and sell the class. But that was my goal. My whole thing was show up and sell the class like most everybody else does. Right? That's what everybody does. Most basically, they're like, how do I get a client? And that's like their whole brain. But I don't do that with my time.
When we first started and we were going to have you come to the farm and do a retreat,
Yeah.
the farm is moving to a big, amazingly beautiful new place. And I feel that like it feels really authentic to be doing it in that way, like to get you there, to get people connected to you in a face-to-face situation. And I feel like it would be like,
Okay.
I mean, I know it's going to
do
take a
that.
little time, but I think we should still do that.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lena wants to see New York anyway.
You should come.
yes. See, on my bucket list,
Oh, good.
Statue
even
of
the
Liberty.
statue.
Yeah. Is
I've
this
been
your
there.
vegetable garden now?
Yeah,
That
we just put these in the other day and they're kind of sad. These are the,
tomatoes.
They just need water, I think.
no, they got plenty of water.
Oh, really? Maybe they just
Yeah,
need to adjust.
I don't know. I'm upset about that. Raspberry plants everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Raspberry.
Is your soil very clay or is it fluffy?
Total sand. You have to put dirt.
Okay.
So I did.
Yeah.
This is a bit sandy here, but this is all lettuce.
Uh-huh.
All the lettuce.
Looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Lena's land here.
Yeah. Isn't that fun when it all grows and you could just pick a salad out of your own garden? I love that.
Let's try that right now. Kale came back by itself last year.
Oh yeah, that's hardy.
I
Do you
love
have
it.
fencing around it so the deer don't get it? Oh yeah.
Kale from last year came back by itself.
Nice.
Peppers, and I don't know what's here, honey.
And that's red bell peppers, cucumbers, jalapenos,
Oh yeah.
cucumber.
So it looks terrible, doesn't it?
You
Yeah.
know, sometimes when transplanting them, it's hard for them, I think.
Yeah, it's an adjustment, but I think do you still have cooler nights?
Oh, there's no such thing as a hot night.
Okay,
No
so
matter what time of year it is.
they get hardened, they'll be all right. They just need some more warmth.
400 cucumbers, because Lena is in love with cucumbers. When we looked them up, it said that they're spinach, but I
Oh,
planted a bunch of different things, and it all looks the same. I don't know.
well, it'll be a surprise. Fun surprise.
Yeah. We always forgot to put names, labels.
Kale.
Then we are, what is this?
I forgot to. I bought 4 different types of tomatoes or 3 different types of tomato plants.
Whoa.
And I did actually put the tag in there, and it looks like, I just went to go look at it. It looks like the sun faded it, so
Oh, no.
the names are gone. I'm like, I'll have to guess. That's all right.
Well, why don't you put together another workshop for New
Yeah.
York?
Well, the
Let it
new
Plane ride.
the new the new farm hasn't signed the papers yet, but I know she wants to do so many things like that there.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Draw a scribbles mat, will you? And then like these. And then like these. Calming the Mind, The Poetry of Enlightenment, one of the best books. Zen poems. Too much knowledge leads to overactivity. Better to calm the mind. The more you consider, the greater the loss. Better to unify the mind. Excessive thinking weakens the will. The more you know, the more your mind's confused. A confused mind gives rise to vexation. A weakened will obstructs the Tao. Don't say there's no harm in this. The ensuing pain may last forever. Don't think there's nothing to fear. Calamities churn like bubbles in a boiling pot. Water dripping ceaselessly will fill the 4 seas. Specks of dust not wiped away will become the 5 mountains. Protect the branches to save the roots. Though a small matter, it's not trivial. Close the 7 orifices. Shut off the 6 senses. Pay no heed to forms. Do not listen to sounds. Listening to sounds, you become deaf. You become blind observing forms. Literature and art are busy gnats in the air. Technique and ability is a solitary lamp in the sun.
Those able and talented ones are really stupid people. Discarding the pure and simple, they drown in too much beauty. Consciousness is an untamed horse. The mind is an unruly monkey. If the spirit is overactive, the body will sicken and die. Wrong conduct ends in delusion. Those treading this path become mired in mud. To regard ability as precious is called confusion. To exaggerate clumsiness and covet skill does not lead to great virtue. Of much fame, but little contribution, their reputation quickly crumbles. Merely reading books is of no lasting value. Being inwardly proud brings the enmity of others. Using speech or written words to gain the praise of others is something most repulsive, like I'm doing now. What common people regard as auspicious, the sage takes as evil. The enjoyment gained is fleeting, the sorrow is everlasting. Beware of shadows and tracks. The further you leave them, the better. Sitting upright in the shade of a tree, neither traces nor shadows remain. Worries of birth and distress of old age are products of your own thoughts. If the mind's thinking is ended, birth and death are forever cut off. Now, to end thought and to end thinking about what you're going to say is the secret to creative genius. You can just learn anything because you're unbounded, and now you're connected to the quantum computer. The mind of the people is your mind. The mind of sages is your mind. You give up on this idea of a separate existence, which we know in science is impossible. It gives rise to compassion and humility. So now your field includes Jackson, includes relatives, includes neighbors. You sit with this, you become here. And in doing it, you feel like you could do anything. So what do you want to do? What's important in life? Your own evolution, your contribution to the human genome. That's what you're here for. That's the legacy that you're giving. So that is a matter of being able to be with yourself and follow the traffic laws. The clear sky puts purity to shame. And it goes on and on. Mind King. The nature of the mind is non-arising. What need is there for knowledge and views? What does that mean? I think it means that if you sit here where you are, then you become a quantum processor. You don't have to arise or do anything. All the information's here. But if you're caught in anxiety and doing and being somebody and so forth, you can't do this. So we have those 6 steps. All right, let's see some scribbles maps.
Eyes, my thumbs,
Eyes.
my low back, my left foot. My eyes are tired. I'm getting LASIK surgery.
You are.
Man,
Did Andrea like hers? I forgot to check in with her.
she loves it.
Let's see yours, honey.
It's always like some intention, the ear and the stomach.
Left ear and stomach.
Yeah.
Okay. Bring your attention into your body mind with these issues and start to breathe into it. Notice how you feel and notice your environment and notice what happens afterwards. Breathe into it. See if you can find the earth. trace in your mind the inside of your foot, the inside of your stomach, the inside of your left ear.
It sure does get activated when I do that. Is that normal?
Coronavirus.
What?
Let's talk about the coronavirus.
Yeah, right.
She's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, you get activated. That's what you said?
Yeah, it gets activated. My foot gets activated.
I remember there was a time I couldn't stand anybody to touch me. And if I got a massage, I would get angry as hell.
Really?
It would break up stuff.
Mm.
So we don't, want that sensitivity to our issues, but that's the saving grace, or the negative fuel for the saving grace. So you have to sit with the agitation until you become ego deflated and grounded. Oh. What was the quote that Dr. Art Kandel said, Danielle? Do you know?
I don't think I know.
The world's leading brain scientist said in a documentary about meditation that meditation, the neuroplastic results that happen from meditation, is the last frontier of medical science. What? So we don't know how to meditate. We don't know what it is. It's beyond our capacity. So let's try to get an idea. The first step is being grounded by what your experience with Jackson is and what your experience of your body mind is. What your experience of your life is. And settle down and be with what is being experienced, first in the negative sense. Allow yourself to be exposed and revealed on your personal growing edges. Let that ego deflation bring it down. Bring the attention down from the cortex into the body. That's how you'll feed your stomach. That's how you'll feed your back and your foot, your heel. The mind's got to touch the earth. It's got to touch down. The tangible sense of touching the earth like deep sleep has got to occur. That means your whole body mind is exposed, and whatever is not working in relationship or circumstances is exposed, and you have a fault in it, or the fault in it. And you begin to feel there's no separation between you and the others, and you and your circumstances, and you and your environment, and you and the school, and so forth. You feel it in your body. You feel your role in the body in all of these dynamics. Crying does this. Emotional catharsis does this. Being caught in the act, being wrong, does this. Bubble bursting, ego deflated. That creates the fertilization of the soil of your consciousness so that the seeds of wise instruction and intervention can stream into there. Smelling the earth, body heavy like deep sleep, grounded. This is the all-important first step of transformation that's so often missed.
being teachable, being a dependent on the sun, moon, and stars and air. Being a dependent on others in the sense that everybody is valuable and giving you healing and you're not paying attention. You're not accepting anybody or anything, just your ideas. So you get to this place of surrender to being the student, to being teachable, to being permeable, transparent. When you do that, the second that you can make that switch happen, life streams into you from the environment. The valley gets the water. The lowest, the most humble gets the accolade. Review an anger problem, an anxiety problem, a compulsion problem. See yourself in that helpless element of performing the same ineffective ways of listening, ways of speaking, ways of behavior, and be humiliated by it. Only champions can do this. So get it done. Review your ongoing bad habits. Review your body problems. Review your addiction. Review your emotional lacks. Review them now if you want magic and healing. If you're busy, I understand. But if you want profound relief and healing, do this now. Review them in your mind, in your body. Feel the fear. The toughest guy in the world, we were watching this thing the other day, one of the top 3 toughest guys in the world said, a lot of people talk about fear and, no fear and you're not afraid of anything. He said, I don't get that. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm afraid of everything. So start to tell the truth about this kind of thing. About how you're wondering about how to make everything better and enjoy the magic carpet ride in life like some people have. Videos off. Turn your videos off. Now, just put on a little music and see if you can slow down. Why slow down? Because that's where the place of creative genius happens. Never see a master in life rushing about in a frenetic mess. They're always calm, cool, and collected, yet they're the most productive. So how do you create calm and resilience at the same time? How do you create dynamism and the ability to feel conflict at the same time? If you have one night's great rest, it's all automated. That's why the focus is advanced meditation. The focus is connecting to great sources and associations and being shaped by them. That's the main thing. That's priority. Don't have the cart before the horse in life. Placing other things that you have to figure out is more important because it just doesn't work in the long run. Begin to forget your troubles, body, mind, and just receive nourishment. Slow down now, step 2. Fresh start, new perspective, new insight. So all that we're doing is to find our way to that. That's going to happen in step 3. Right now, we're in the grind down process of just slowing down. Don't
out, stay in the body, receiving nourishment, exactly like going to sleep. This is like conscious sleeping, however. If you need extreme rejuvenation, this is the way to go. But you're never going to understand it, and you're not going to remember it. You've got to find sources of trust for wisdom and follow along. That's the only thing we can do, because the mind will interrupt everything. Right now, you're just paying attention to the nasal airflow, the light through the eyelids, and you're receiving from some point of contact, a song, a belief system, a prayer, a word, a place in nature, something. You're going to lock onto it and extend your attention span. Slow down time. Why? Because that's the place of creative genius when you access it. Then you can speed up and be the fastest and the smartest, whatever, that's fine. But primarily, you've got to find this vast connectivity subconsciously with life. The past, from this book, the past is like empty space. Know anything and the basic principle is lost. Using the mind to maintain quietude, you still fail to leave the sickness. That means that you're not using your mind as subject object, you're using your mind as a conduit. Sky, earth, stars, wisdom, beautiful song. You're just a conduit. Don't destroy emotions. Only teach cessation of thoughts. The person that's great achieves something and says, I don't know, I just did it. Intuition, as Einstein said, is more important than thought. So get back to the feeling. In an instant, a Vicky karma is destroyed. A Vicky karma is the built-up karmas. Longer breath, heavier body. Drop your shoulders, drop the tension of the stomach, drop the attachment with the feelings of the heel. was a guy in the martial art land that got choked out for the first time. And he was choked out for 3 seconds. And he said, in those 3 seconds, I thought that I went into the locker room, I took a shower, I got in the car, and I was driving home. All that happened. When he woke up, it was 3 seconds. Time dilation is a scientific reality. The clock at the bottom of the Empire State Building moves physically slower than the clock at the top. Why? More gravity. When you find your seat, when you touch the earth with your mind, when you're here where you are, you gather gravity and magnetism and dynamism to yourself. Time slows down. When time slows down, your processing speed increases. So more important than the outer, more important than your doings and strategies is nothing. That's the purpose of this course. Nothing. Nothing whatsoever, nothing further, not one word. Feeling peace of mind instead of thinking thoughts. Why? Because if you can touch down right now and be where you are, your insight skyrockets. So if you want to do something, you can do it. Though it is not a way of action, still it is not without words. As before a precious mirror, the form and reflection gaze on each other. You are not it, but it is just you. Wise words are necessary to be recontemplated because we have so many extraneous thoughts. Again, you can't really understand it because it never fixes everything, and that's what we want. We want something to fix everything. But better it is to be on the path, to have the GPS, than not in life, because at the end of it all, it's what you know on the inside and what you have in the mystery that counts. That determines your grade and your level of evolution. There's a lot of trust involved in all this. Emotions come up, just observe them. Return back to the step one now that you have more clarity, and allow them to be released from your body mind like some kind of special graces. to embodiment and natural connectivity. A whole host of problems and dangers will be relieved from you and yours. The instruction is nasal airflow, eyelid light, heavier body, longer breath. What happened there? Mhm. Look at the body as unreal, an image in a mirror, a reflection of the moon and water. Contemplate the mind as formless, yet bright and pure. Not a single thought arising. Empty, yet perceptive. Still, yet illuminating. Complete like the vast spaciousness containing within it everything. In a critical moment, bring back the light to yourself. Please drop your head into your hands. Sigh of relief on the exhale, reaching deeper levels of who you are. More relief, more support. More energy to change your ways and do something differently. A little better listening, a little better duty. More contentment with the process. Letting time pass by without any notice nor concern. Now I'm going to put on the screen. Watch the difference between all that we've benefited from so far. Different aspects of knowledge, different experiences. When we did the form, we connected with nature's elements, Danielle, as we have in the past, and worked our body in certain ways, and that was refreshing. Remember, there's a full spectrum approach. Have a full spectrum approach to profound support, profound relief. Continue learning. Look at the difference between all of that and what happens with darshan, meaning contacting and a truly extraordinary individual.
Hello, welcome to Mindscapes, our series of conversations with men and women whose ideas, vision, and philosophy define our contemporary world. My guest today is a unique and remarkable person. She's considered by more than 30 million people around the world as divinity. She's inspired numerous welfare projects, hospitals, schools, educational institutions, a pension scheme for more than 50,000 destitute women. She's embodied ecumenical dialogue and the highest aspirations of humankind. I'm delighted to welcome Mata Amritanand Devi. Mother, what is your essential teaching for mankind, if you had to say it in a few sentences?
Be honest with oneself and have faith. Optimistic faith in Shraddha are the qualities required to succeed in life. Such a person alone can do good work for society and the world as a whole.
You inspire so many social work and welfare projects from your love and from your compassion for humankind. In a world where there is so much immorality, there is so much corruption, how have you ensured that your many projects work so well and so efficiently?
People who hold responsible positions in various institutions and social service projects of the ashram maintain a pure mental attitude towards the work they perform. Therefore, up to now, the moral values have not degenerated. They work selflessly, and hence the ashram is able to serve suffering humanity to a certain extent.
Millions of followers believe in your...
When people call her divine,
what does it feel like?
she
to be
laughs. She's going to
divine?
laugh now, I think.
To become God is to become a real human being. Everyone is God, but people don't realize this great truth due to a lack of awareness.
That's like knowing
They
you're
will
the
neither be able
electricity
to
and not the
experience
software
divine bliss
program.
within, nor will they be able to express it in their actions. A life without awareness is an unconscious life. A human form which others can relate to is very much needed in order to develop
That's the
this awareness in
Atma in
people who
Sanskrit.
are in search of the
It's
truth.
a profound principle.
Does Amma herself, what is her practice as someone who is divine? Does she pray to a God? How does she practice her divinity?
Amma knows everything to be the Atman alone. Still, to set an example for others, Amma observes all spiritual and ethical values in her life. Only when we practice the values in our lives will we be able to inspire others to follow them in their lives. I don't have a message higher than my own life.
Who are the gods and goddesses that Amma herself worships?
You are all the forms of my worship, my gods and goddesses.
Yeah.
Preach peace and,
You got the hug, huh?
and tolerance.
Yeah.
Most religions preach peace, divine love, tolerance, and yet there is so much conflict in the name of religion. Amma has been a votary of ecumenical dialogue between religions.
I get
How
the
does
hugs
she
from
see the
Lena.
relationship between religions?
Lena's very Amma-like.
Those who are the cause of religious conflicts do not have an in-depth understanding of religion. Religion is only an intellectual exercise for such people. For them, religion is nothing but another form of business, like running a factory.
Does Mother believe in the unity of religions? But yes, on the everyday practice, we see religion in its social context to be different. How does Amma reconcile the apparent difference in religions with the apparent unity in religions?
Today, people are ready to die for their religion, but are not ready to live up to the essential principles as taught by the exponents of that religious faith.
At one level, all religions preach the same thing, that love and compassion and higher aspirations of faith. But at the everyday level, religions are very different in social practices. So how can we bring about greater understanding between the religions?
The weather may forecast rain. It may say it will rain at such and such a time. However, we won't get any water if we squeeze the newspaper. Only when it rains will we get water. Likewise, a mere study of scriptures will not bring peace and unity amongst religions. Only by living these values will unity be surely established.
Though there is some convergence in recent thinking in the relationship between science and spirituality, the conclusions of modern science are often at odds with the conclusions of spirituality and religion. So how does Amma reconcile science and spirituality?
Scientific advancement is essential. Science deals with one plane, whereas spirituality deals with another. Science air conditions the external world. Spirituality air conditions the internal. There is a limit to where science can reach, to where our intellect and logic can take us, because the search is in the external world. Spirituality begins where science ends.
Very often, scientists don't tend to have a system of values and morality. So you have many new developments in science, like human cloning. What does Amma think about the new developments in science which push the areas of morality?
I do not say that all new inventions and discoveries should be suspended. But before announcing to the world such discoveries and inventions should be properly evaluated in the light of dharma and past experience. Only if they are beneficial to the world should they be introduced. It would be nice if scientists do only that which is useful and beneficial to society by considering the majority of feelings of people. Of course, morality and right conduct must be there. Similarly, it is satachar, or right conduct, and dharma that are the warp and weft of society. They are what maintain the balance and harmony of our society. Our scriptures talk about these principles. Peace and harmony will prevail when these scriptural dictums are properly understood and practiced in our day-to-day life.
Endless repetition has to be surrendered to.
Economic development has seen a lot of material progress, but has also meant erosion in values.
Continuous
in
cultivation.
what ways does Amma view the new economic growth in India, the globalization, the new approaches to development? And how does she feel that is affecting the lives and the value systems of people?
Is going to feel better.
I do not say that material progress is not needed. It is very important as far as the social well-being of a country is concerned. However, spiritual awareness should also grow. If that is lost, then life becomes as meaningless as putting makeup on a corpse. Without spirituality, human beings will be like robots. Life will become mechanical. Along with material progress, there should be commensurate growth in spiritual awareness also. In so many countries, there are crucial unemployment problems where people are facing poverty and starvation. Even if they succeed in securing jobs and making progress in material life, they will not be able to make proper use of this progress unless they simultaneously grow in spiritual awareness. If this doesn't happen, then all the material growth that we achieve will pave the path for our own destruction. Deluded by the materialistic world of temptations, our youth have neither maturity nor a proper perspective on life. They're unable to retain their individuality. If we don't create conducive conditions for them to grow spiritually, it will not only cause a lot of harm to them, but also to society.
Is it necessary to believe in God to be a good human being and to be a compassionate, loving human being?
God is nothing but divine qualities. If a person is loving and compassionate, truthful and righteous, he's a devotee of God, though he may be an atheist. This is my opinion.
If there is a loving God, why is there so much human suffering, even if we are ignorant of God?
God is the embodiment of love, but we do not turn to him. Hence, there is suffering in life. There are some children who may spit out even the sweetest things given to them. They don't relish the taste. Suppose a person has a secret lover besides his wife. Such a person will not appreciate his wife, even if she dresses up in the most beautiful way. We have to use soap to wash away and clean dirt from our bodies. There's no point blaming the soap for not using it. Having driven the car fully drunk, If a person meets with an accident, isn't it foolish if he blames the fuel? The present suffering is a result of our indiscriminate actions and our neglect of moral and spiritual values in our lives. God is always compassionate and loving. His grace is always there. We don't have the right mental attitude to receive His grace. No matter how long we live close to a radio station, unless we tune our radios to the right frequency, we cannot hear the programs that are broadcast. As our minds are not attuned to God, we are not able to receive His grace. Not even a drop of water will go into a vessel that is kept upside down. Likewise, the ever-flowing grace of God will not enter our hearts if it remains closed. So there's no point in blaming God for our suffering.
Different religions see God differently. We have struggled in India with the issue of conversions, of people changing from one religion to the other. So what does Amma think about people from one religion changing their faith?
Allah does not support conversion. Religion is something that should be chosen freely by each individual. It is not something that needs to be forced upon people. Amma is not for it. Amma believes in the conversion of mind from darkness to light. Those who do not dive deep into the essential principles of their religion will be misled and get converted. It will lead them to greater darkness. Many religions preach about God with only one form. However, Hinduism reveres everything in creation as God. Hindu faith can be compared to mathematics. It requires a bit of intelligence and subtle understanding
And
to grasp the
Hinduism
true
is the basis
principles.
of Buddhism.
Due to this lack of understanding, many are being misled and
Buddhism
exploited.
was created
They
by
criticize
an
idol
Indian
worship in
priest.
Hinduism. However, all religions in one way or another practice image worship. The Buddhists say that they are against idol worship, but there are huge statues of Buddhas in monasteries and incense sticks are lit in front of them. The Christians light candles in front of the image of Jesus or a cross and offer prayers. The Muslims offer namaz, looking in the direction of Mecca. They extol the divine qualities of God. So worshipping of divine qualities is something common to all religions. All the forms of God and goddesses in Hinduism have a very deep inner
You could do a tree or a flower, but you got to reverence
confusion.
and feel it bodily.
All the religions preach love and compassion. What is it that people like me can do to develop real love and real compassion for other human beings and other sentient beings?
One should try to look into oneself. Then one will become aware of one's weaknesses and shortcomings. Looking into ourselves will enable us to experience beauty in the diversity, seeing the unity in everything. Sincere introspection will help us to have a thorough knowledge of ourselves, which in turn will help us learn deeper lessons from each and everything in the entire creation. We are not isolated entities. We are inseparable links of that universal chain. Though we are not aware of it, our thoughts, words, and actions have an influence on others. The attitude that I will change only after others have changed is wrong. Once we change, others will automatically change. Unfortunately, we're only aware of our rights. We should also be aware of our responsibilities towards society and try to fulfill them.
In our traditions in India, we have the most sophisticated sadhanas, of yoga and of training the mind. So what sadhana does Amma suggest to people?
The same sadhana cannot be prescribed for everyone.
Sadhana, spiritual practice.
Only a single dish is served. Only when a variety of food items are offered can the hotel cater to people with different tastes. Similarly,
My
there are
favorite
many
list.
paths: Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga. Amma prescribes the path according to that person's samskara, mental constitution,
Karma.
inclination, intellectual growth, mental strength,
spot list.
situation, and time. To cite an example, for patients who are suffering from the same disease, the doctor may prescribe an injection to some, give tablets to others, and yet he gives a tonic to some others. A student who's interested in becoming an engineer has to take mathematics as his main subject. Meditation is very beneficial, but each person's mental capacity also has to be taken into consideration. For example, general tonics are good for health. It may not be beneficial or effective if we take less than the prescribed dose. Drinking the whole bottle can also be dangerous. To get the maximum benefit, we have to take the right dose. In a similar manner, even though the goal of all spiritual practice is to turn towards God or one's own true self, meditation and other spiritual practices should be performed under the strict guidance of a spiritual master.
Doesn't work any other way because you don't get the transmission.
How important does Amma feel that rituals are?
Ordinary meditation is really concentration or relaxation, but the word meditation is not that.
To understand this better, it is necessary to know the inner significance of any ritual. Let us take the example of offering garlands to gods. Some say intellectually that this is wrong or a waste of money, but there are so many positive aspects if we look at it from a different angle. First of all, planting a flower or a tree is good for the environment. The gardener gets a job, one who transports flowers to the market also earns a living, and it is a source of income for the person who strings the garland. And finally, the devotee who offers the garland to his beloved deity or guru gets a great deal of mental satisfaction. Certain actions, though they appear illogical, are logical at another level. Parents tell their children when they are small, "You'll become blind if you tell lies." This in itself is a lie. Had this been true, there would have been a score of blind people in the world. However, this so-called lie helps the child to not tell lies, and at some point he realizes the value of truthfulness. Similarly, different rituals prescribed in religious texts are meant for the spiritual upliftment of people who belong to different mental caliber. However, Amma does not support the extravagant expenses for conducting rituals such as offering costly saris, jewels, and other items in a sacrificial fire. That money can be used for helping the poor and needy.
Amma has often said that the problems of many of us are because of our egos, of hurt egos, and that if we can somehow dissolve our egos, that we can be happy.
The positive ego
what is
is a
it
good
that we can do or practice? How can we learn to eliminate our egos?
Act and move forward, listening and accepting what our conscience tells us. We should become aware of the futility and burden of our ego. It is because we want to appear big in the eyes of others that we face so many problems and trials.
There is so much violence and so much war in the world. What is it that we can do to eliminate violence, war, and weapons? Even if we remove all nuclear weapons from our armories and transfer them to a museum, this would not mean the end to war. The real nuclear weapons are the negative thoughts of our mind, which should be eliminated. This is the cause of all war and violence. War and conflict will only cease through a deeper understanding of spirituality. Very often we as individuals feel helpless because we feel that there is very little that we can do to change the world. So how important or how able does Amma think it is for individuals to make a difference? She has made such a difference to the world, but then she is regarded as divinity. What about ordinary human beings? We are not limited individuals. We are the Atman, the embodiments of supreme consciousness. Through a pipe connected to a water tank, we can get all the water stored in the tank. Similarly, when we learn to be humble in all circumstances, the dormant spiritual energy will fully manifest.
Connected to Darshan, connected to nature, connectivity is
We will also come
power.
face to face with our own true spiritual self.
The only way to get connected is through our inner self.
Enthusiasm, and
Being
optimistic faith,
surrendered
it will
to
certainly
the
bring about a
offerings
change in
of everybody,
society.
everything, everywhere.
Our identification with our infinite individuality,
Then
the
we
body,
can heal
mind,
people and
intellect,
stuff.
and ego limits us. When we transcend this wrong identification, the whole world becomes our own.
നേരത്തെ ഒരു വളർന്ന സാഹചര്യം വരച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അവരൊക്കെ നോക്കിയിട്ടേ നമുക്ക് ഉപദേശിക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. അതുകൂടി പറയണേ അമ്മ.
Amma, you travel the world, you address United Nations, you talk to 30 million, 40 million followers around the world. What is it that you really want to say to them? What is your message that you want them to retain and practice and follow as your devotees?
വിശ്വാസവും ശ്രദ്ധയുമാണ്, വിശ്വസ്തയും ശ്രദ്ധയുമാണ് വളർത്തുക. അതാണ് ഏറ്റവും മൂല്യമായിട്ട് വേണ്ടത് ശരിക്കും.
The most important values that need to be practiced are faith and awareness. A person who practices these two qualities will become a benefactor to the entire world. And such people can serve the society in a much greater way than anyone else.
പക്ഷെ വേറൊരു ഇല്ലാണ്ടാവുന്ന
Faithing the miraculous, conceiving the supernatural. You got to go beyond and rethink what's possible for your life.
എന്നാണല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ അവന് സദാചാരങ്ങളും മൂല്യങ്ങളും മനസ്സിലാക്കി കൊടുക്കണം. അതിനുവേണ്ടി ആ തത്വങ്ങൾ ഉപദേശിക്കാനുള്ള ഇസ്രത്തോലിലും ആ മൂല്യങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒരു സ്ഥാനം കൊടുത്ത് പ്രചരിപ്പിച്ചാൽ നന്നായിരിക്കുന്നു.
What are the techniques and practices that we can use to undo negative karma? Our tradition believes very much in the theory of karma, of impersonal cause and effect. And assuming there isn't sort of the divine, what is it that we can individually do?
ഇപ്പൊ കഴിഞ്ഞ ആരോഗ്യ അനുസരിച്ചൊക്കെയാണ്.
The past is like a cancelled check. Holding on to it is like hugging a corpse without letting it being buried. In a storage, there'll be good and bad fruits. You can choose the good ones and discard the bad ones. The storage place is not your bedroom. If you need to take something from storage, go in and take what you want and come out. Don't live there. Likewise, our past is like a storage place. Never live there. Past is the karma. If you need to go back there, it is okay, but learn to drop it and live in the present.
വർത്തമാനത്തിൽ ജീവിക്കാൻ പഠിക്കുക.
What does Amma feel the mission is for the rest of her life on earth?
What is the goal of the river but to flow?
And does Amma think that she will, does she plan to take rebirth in what form?
Rebirth has to happen here and now. Tomorrow can never become today.
So we'll thank Amma, and if she could give us and the audience some blessings.
അമ്മയുടെ അനുഗ്രഹം എപ്പോഴും ഉണ്ട്.
Amma's blessings are always there, but you have to awaken to receive them. Grace is like sunshine. No light will enter if we keep the doors and windows closed and complain that it is dark inside. We have to open the doors of our hearts. It is easy to awaken a person who is asleep, but to awaken one who's pretending to be asleep is difficult. No matter how much advice is given, one has to awaken within to imbibe it.
അമ്മയുടെ അനുഗ്രഹം ഉണ്ടാവും.
Videos on.
I love her laugh. She's so cute.
Yeah. Great contact. Now there could be 30 different of those, or 100, and you can weave your life with them. And every time you get another chance, and you just have to work at it, but it's so wonderful to be given grace. And like Ramaji says, okay, so what's the value of love and peace and all spiritual values? We just don't do it because it looks funny in the world. You don't have to look funny in the world. Do it for real. Give me love, give me love, give me peace on earth. Give me light, give me life. Keep me free from birth. Give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load. Trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul. peace on earth. Give me light, give me life, keep me free from birth. Give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load. Trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. Yes. So it seems like, you know, it's
Make it rain all around you. If you're on stage, you would just be making it rain with dollar bills all over.
no, you have to make it rain for us because I'm busy. I can't do that. I have to do this. If I can do this all the time, day and night, you never know. I might even improve in 1,000 years or so. But since I have no other hope, then I just better do it. So that's what I do. I used to do the marketing and the selling and the everything, and I wound up with a stress problem, and it's just, I don't know. I'm happy to participate. But anyway, you get the idea. But I'm telling you that lots of healing and lots of cash can happen if you and Adrian, whatever, whoever, just do it. It's easy to do it for somebody else, right? But is it worthy of your time and energy investment? And that's another story. I think so. I think that if you put me in front of 1,000 people, it's going to work. That's what I think. Anyway, so if you get, you know, tender, loving, touchy feely, whatever, and you get some kind of transcendence, you know, you're not going to become weirdo. You're not going to become Fruit Loopy, hippy dippy. No, you're going to become stronger and smarter and faster and more grounded than anything. So the only reason that you've been kept away from spirituality is the way that it's represented in the world. So we all do it in our own way. And I'm just suggesting that we become more precise and codify it and find those moments that can refresh everything. Because now you're unbounded. If you get the healing energy, if you got the healing energy, now you can turbocharge it, put it into a laser and put it onto your stomach and put it onto your left ear and put it onto your heel. But if you don't get the energy from transmission in this process that I've designed, you really don't have the power to do that. But you do have it now. And every time that we do this, you have it. And every time that you practice according to just going ABC, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, ABC, it works. But you just get a little dip in the flow, you know? And so it's a long going 1,000-year process. And the idea is that you want to animate and come down from that experience and really touch earth and really gain gravity right there where you are, right here where we are, and fortify your own physical presence so that then you can get back to work with your relationship and with your whatever you're doing. You can be humble and honor the other person as the Atma, teaching you, healing you. So you owe them your service. That's the idea. That's Atmic compliance. But if you don't feel better, you don't get the transmission, you're not able to do it. So rooting, blooming, printing or pre-printing happens after meditation. And that's when you get happy. And that's when you bloom yourself into the experience of connectivity beyond personalities and forms. So now you're seeing a mosaic of your relationships and your circumstances, and you're just going to go to work and just go to duty. Hey, Jackson, you want some popcorn? Whatever, you know, if you got the healing energy, it's going to work for the other person. So to get the healing energy, you got to do step 1, which never makes any sense. It's a total downer. Yeah, it's a downer. And step 2, which is hard to accept because the ego is always in control. And now you're going to let something else be better than you and have authority and things like that. And then step 3, gone beyond. I don't care. Everything's fine. I forgot. You know, rooting, blooming, clear, understanding what it is. So the final process in this is to begin to welcome in whoever and whatever's in your life to come to you in your experience of them before you engage them. So whatever's prominent on your psyche, whether it's a body-mind issue, relational issue, school issue, government issue, financial issue, so forth. You're now going to give away all that power to turning into the student and just doing the daily grind, doing what you're supposed to do to try to figure things out and try to take proper action, to animate your thought, to animate your energy, to get engaged. So all previous was exactly opposite of what I'm saying now, right? That's true. But now you have the healing energy. So since you got the healing energy, now it's time to activate and animate and get on it to make your life better for yourself. And then you're making life better for everybody.
Thank you.
Mon plaisir, mon ami. Gracias. And I see you for a private coming up, I guess, soon enough. And honey, I'll get right to work.
Bye.
Bye.